Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another Nerdtube podcast. I am Cousin Cheeto. I am here, of course, with my normal compatriot in arm, Gary, or Saban, as he wants to be called today.
Hello.
Also by Vizaxon, who is Leah. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
And we are being joined by a new contributor. His name is Major Rage. How you doing?
Doing great. Proud to be here, guys. How is everyone else today?
Good.
So we're basically what we're doing is we're starting to do some more Final Fantasy content on the channel because I like Final Fantasy. It is a huge franchise and it spans what 35 years almost now. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to do just whatever. So this is kind of like a welcome to a welcome to Final Fantasy on Nerdtube podcast where we're going to talk about whatever the hell we want, and y'all are just going to love it because we all love Final Fantasy. Why don't we just start going around really quick and we just talk about our favorite Final Fantasies. So my favorite Final Fantasy is 7. I want to preface that. It is the first one I played. It is the most iconic. It is the most important Final Fantasy, in my opinion, to the franchise. I've played most of the subsequent games around it. Although I do acknowledge all of its issues and everything like that the game actually has. But I will acknowledge that 7 is not the best, and we've already debated that to death. But that's my favorite is 7, just because of nostalgia, and I mean, a Buster Sword just looks cool. I mean, let's be real. All right, let's head on down to our newcomer, Major Rage. Go ahead and give us some information.
It's hard for me to pick a favorite Final Fantasy. They all have their good points and their bad points. I really love 7, and the inner hipster kind of knee-jerk reaction of I don't want to like what everybody else likes that I'm still struggling with carrying over from high school it's a great game. I don't want to poke a hornet's nest, but I feel like it's a little overrated. But
you just go ahead and poke that hornet's nest. I mean, we love poking hornet's nests around here. We're like the jackass of video gamers. Like, we like to poke at things and like get hurt.
But I mean, the best way to think about it is like if you were stuck on a desert island and you could only play one of these games for forever, which one would it be? That would be the answer to which one is your favorite.
Oh, that's a toss-up between 6 or 7 because there's so much to explore, so much open exploration, especially once you get let loose with your airships. The overall amount of it and just in 6 can be very overwhelming. And when I was younger, I never finished. I would start back over with the stuff I was familiar with, go back through World of Balance, just kind of optimize my routes there, but then get cut loose in World of Ruin and be like, where do I start? So if I was going to be deserted with one, Saban, I'm going to pick 6.
All right. Vizaxon, what's your favorite Final Fantasy?
I don't know if it's blasphemous to say this because I never ended up actually beating it when I owned it, but 9.
Yes. Look, 9 is the best Final Fantasy, hands down. Just saying.
I mean, I got to the point where the city that you start in was destroyed, and that's as far as I made it, or like a little bit afterwards where you find where like the queen dies and so forth. But I think right around in there is as far as I made it. So like disc 2 or the very beginning of disc 3. But I adore that game. What I have played. I wish circumstances had allowed me to actually beat it, but life kept happening, and then I get distracted, and then I just feel like I had to start over again, and then life would happen again. Like, oh no! So I couldn't beat it because life kept happening.
Yeah, life does that. It does happen. Gary, I think we already know, after our last video, I think we already know what your favorite Final Fantasy is, you poser.
It's 7, but I do have my favorite character is of course Saban, who's in 6. But again, 7. So is my introduction. 7 is one of my top 2 favorite games, that and GTA Vice City, not the definitive edition. And I will defend. Actually, there's aspects of the remake that I think are better than the original. But I still think that 7 is a great game and deals with a couple of things that, again, we don't usually see in games, which is that your hero isn't really a hero until later. We only find out that he's basically a multimity, that he's somebody who imagines he's a hero, but he's actually not. He's been co-opting this other person's life and stuff like that, and it's not until later that he actually becomes heroic. So it's as a redemption arc as well, which again you don't really get in the other games. But yeah, 7's my favorite.
All right, so just so let's talk a little bit about what games in the Final Fantasy franchise we don't like. So, and here's kind of my point with this one is I always get a bug up my butt about Final Fantasy 13 versus Final Fantasy 10 because everybody sings the praises of Final Fantasy 10 and everybody shits on Final Fantasy 13. Both games are just as equally as linear, and both their world maps and everything suck just as bad. I always get a real bug up my butt when people start sitting there and saying, "Oh, Final Fantasy 10 is this great thing," but then they're like, "Oh, what do you think?" And then I always make a point to ask, what do you think about 13? Oh God, that's a shit ass game. I get it. Final Fantasy 13 has more issues than 10 does. I do acknowledge that. There's definitely a difference in characters and battle systems and yada yada, but when it comes to the world map and everything like that and the linearness, and everyone says, "Oh, 13 is too linear," and I say, so you say that 13's linear but 10 is not? You basically run from place to place to place up to the north to a map to Xanarkand, which is at the very top of the map, but yet it's not frosty the mountains. It should be frosty because it's all the way at the top of the map, North Pole or whatever. Anyway, and I know there's a lot of other backstory and everything like that.
Probably nostalgia when you think 10 versus 13. I mean, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. So
it is. That's why my favorite's Final Fantasy 7, but I acknowledge that 9 is the best Final Fantasy. In my opinion.
9 well, it's also that 9 is the first one I ever played. So that's what broke me into the franchise.
So what do your guys what pet peeves do you have about Final Fantasy?
The card games. I hate the freaking card games.
Oh, they're awful.
You have it, but here's the thing: is that
someone
8?
Seriously needs to be beaten with an oar. Oh my God.
Dude, but 8 that's 8 is not one of my favorite Final Fantasies, but the card game rocks in that game. I love that card game.
You will never sell me on a card game.
All right. Lightning as a character just annoys the piss out of me. She's
really?
the most. She has no character, and that standalone game she got where she goes, "You know who I am." And she does this, and this city has 7 days to live, and all this sort of crap, and then it talks about this city, the hunt god, and all this sort of stuff. It's ridiculously bad. And then you get one button to press with her, and she has no personality. She's not a character. She has no thing to do.
I would go as far to say she's a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's basically like a herald of God by the end of the 13 saga. I mean, 13, 13-2, and then Lightning Returns is isn't she just a herald of God of that universe? At that point?
I couldn't make it past the beginning of 13-2. I was like, nope, can't can't do it.
Yeah. I actually like Lightning Returns better than 13.2. 13.2 was tiny time travel, timey-wimey things, and I'm like, Final Fantasy and time travel sometimes just doesn't work for me. Like, give me a time mage, but like when you start doing time travel, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
no, not really.
I mean, the thing is that I'd also say snow.
Yeah, snow's annoying.
Like, because the thing is that he has no weapons, and he's not Tifa, he's not Flaming Zell, he's not Flaming Saber.
Okay, I feel like that's not the issue with snow. Like, we've had many Final Fantasy characters, including your namesake on this episode, who uses nothing but his fists.
Yeah, but he's a monk. Same as a monk. Snow's not a monk. He's a certified douchebag.
Well, okay, he is a certified douchebag. But, I mean, yeah, there's so many characters in 13. As I said, I know 13 has its issues with characters because Hope is annoying. Vanille is definitely annoying. Fang is really kind of the only cool character that, truth be told, we have. Zaz is okay as well. He's a little bit funny, but he's kind of like the comedy, like a little bit. And I'm just like, I hate it that they did that in this game.
It was ham-fisted comic relief that didn't fit the rest of the tone of the game.
Yep, I agree completely with you. I just hate that comparison. Anyone else have any like annoying like people when you talk to other Final Fantasy?
Fucking budget system in 10 and 11. It's so complicated you can't do anything with it. Like you have to like put certain things to certain weapons in certain things. It's sort of micromanage you compared to how sleep down it is in 7 and in 6 and 8 and 9. The budget system is so easy to use and so user friendly, whereas in 10, 11, and 12 it's so time consuming and thinking. It takes away the fun. Magic's supposed to be fun, like when you want to be shooting fire off, shooting ice, or shooting lightning, or shoot whatever you want to shoot. It should be fun to use. It should be taking you an hour to half an hour to think, right, this person's got this ability and he'll be better using this. It's like, no, I want to try to optimize, who my healer is, who's got a good start.
Are you talking about 9 or are you talking about 10?
I'm talking about 10. Nine's got a really good budget system.
10, well, yeah, 10's got a sphere grid, which is pretty straightforward. I thought.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible.
I actually thought the sphere grid was actually one of the better things about that.
It's fucking awful.
You can't.
It's better than the Chrysanthemum trap. Well, the Chrysanthemum
trap yes, I will. The Chrysanthemum, yeah, I'll give you that one. That one was also kind of bogus. What were you gonna say, Mage?
I was just gonna say that you can't optimize. I mean, you can't customize your characters with the sphere grid until so late in the game that it doesn't matter anymore. You're just gonna go for the OP stuff. You're gonna go for the upping the damage limit and upping your hit point limit, and maybe do something stupid like give all the black magic spells too. I think
I'm trying to remember what I did. I put Titus in with Auron, Waka in with, I don't remember. I always have this like weird way of cross training people when you get to that point in the game, and I'm like, but like everybody's doing their thing. And I think Yuna's I think I put Yuna in Lulu's and Lulu in Yuna's. Kamari, I don't even know what I do with him. I think you know what? I put Kamari in with Auron. I put Titus in with Waka in with, I don't remember. But yeah, I would always, when I cross train them, like I would, I have like a set way I do it. And that's me. I'm just a creature of habit.
We want to talk pet peeves. Maybe the Thunder Plains from 10.
Oh, the Thunder Plains.
God. Oh.
The Thunder Plains aren't bad unless you're going for the achievement or the what is it? The ultimate weapon.
Yeah.
Whose ultimate weapon is that? Is that Lulu's?
I think so.
I can't remember.
I didn't even beat it when I picked up the remaster. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I picked up the remaster. I played it for like an hour, I think, and I was just like, meh.
I got it to show a girlfriend at the time, and it couldn't keep her attention, so we stopped.
Yeah, it's hard to keep a girlfriend's attention.
Ooh, cameo from the dog.
Oh, you see Riker? Riker.
Riker. Hello.
Hey, number one.
Sorry, I love golden retrievers. So
Oh yeah, no, that's he's always around.
Also, the hallway in 13, 32, and just like there's no exploration. There's no. There's no like going off the beaten path to try and see if there's something in the ether like there is in, let's say, 15, or there is in Fabian, 7 or 8 or 9.
Wait,
just,
what was it? I'm sorry, I missed what you were
the,
talking
the,
about.
the corridor in 13.
What corridor? You mean like the just the game itself?
Yeah, there's a corridor. There's literally a corridor where you.
Oh, you're talking about the time travel.
No. There's literally when you walk, there's only one path you can go that you're meant to go. There's no exploration. There's no nothing. There's only one path and one path only.
Yeah. No, but that's what I say. 10's the same way. I'm sorry, there's like not much of a deviation there. So
I disagree.
Huh?
I disagree. I think you can move all over the shop.
Except for like, what is it, Killica Woods? Like, yeah, you can kind of do a little bit of variation, but like, there's no open world in 9. There is, or in 10. There's none. It is just as linear as 13. You are on a straight shot up to the what's it called? Xanarkand. So I don't know. Okay. I don't know. So what are your guys' thoughts on like ultimate weapons and stuff like that? Like what I like a lot of my favorite ultimate weapons, and this is kind of hypocritical, but a lot of my favorite weapons, ultimate weapons, are in are in 8. A lot of the weapons in 8 look really, really cool.
They do. And I really like the angle of getting them by finding the magazines. That I thought that was a fun little gradual side quest for getting the ultimate weapons. A little bit more interesting than maybe having to grind for hours for the pink tail on the moon in 4, for example.
I have not beaten, I'm going to be honest, I've not beaten 4. I've seen it played, and I've played it, but I've never beaten it. So that's actually going to be one on my gaming channel that I'm eventually going to be playing. So it's just going to be a while.
Very nice. I feel like it's probably the most underrated Final Fantasy. A lot of the stuff.
I would agree. As I said, I've heard many great things about it. And the little bit that I've played of it, it's definitely really good. And I mean, I play the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and like just the characters in that game, just reminiscing on what happens in that game, like Cecile and Kane, and is Radia's in that one, right?
Yeah, Radia is in that one.
There's a lot of dynamics there that I going through the story of the City of Final Fantasy is like really showing me. I'm like, oh yes, like this is probably a game I'd really like to play. I just got to get it on my docket and eventually make it to it.
No.
Saban, you besides brass knuckles, you got any you got any favorite final ultimate weapons?
I'm trying to think of some like
Any of them that stick out to you?
Like Barrett's massive gun he gets at the end. That's pretty cool.
Who does?
Barrett's massive gun that he gets at the end. I like that.
Yeah. No, I always
I'm trying to think of because like Cloud's sword that he gets at the end. As goofy as it sounds, I kind of liked his old sword, the old Buster sword. I just like that sword compared to the ones he gets at the end.
the ultimate weapon, right?
Yeah. I don't have a clue what it's called, to be honest with you.
I think it's Ultima Weapon.
Yeah, I think it is Ultima Weapon.
Yeah, anyway, it's not as good as that. It's not as good as his Buster sword, and like usually I'm not a big fan of ultimate weapons just because you kind of grow attached to the weapon that you have been using, like the Buster sword, but sometimes they look cool. Like for example, as I said, the Barrett super cannon looks a lot better than his like chain gun that he has across the way, and it looks so cool when he finds it in the combat, and it just literally like takes out like entire arm. It's like fuck, it's like awesome.
You got any favorite final weapons, Vizaxon?
Not really, honestly.
That's okay.
I mean, it's just basically, it's like if it ends up being a matter of oh, there's something really powerful in this dungeon. I'm like, ooh, I get to go through a dungeon. You know, that's that's basically the part of it that I end up liking, not even necessarily the weapon itself.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of weapons that look cool, and then there are a lot of weapons that look cool, but then are just like dumb. You know, like they look cooler than they actually are. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know, like Squall's final weapon in 8, just like, you know, when he's doing a lot of his limit breaks and stuff, and just yeah, it's just really cool. His final weapon, if I'm remembering right, his final weapon is the blue glowy one, right? Or is it the Ragnarok, which is the red one?
It's the Ragnarok, the red one is.
It is okay. Regardless, I think both those are cool. Like, I love the one that looks like a lightsaber, and then I also like the one that looks like it just looks like flame. Like, you know, if they ever did do like a remake of Final Fantasy VIII, some of that stuff would be really interesting. What you gonna say, Saban?
No, I was just thinking about summons, which summons are like, what's a fine one?
Oh, I thought you were gonna chime in with something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so what favorite summons? Mine always is Shiva. I love Shiva. Every iteration, she's elegant and deadly at the same time. I'm not one of those I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, the sluttier you make them, the better. I'm like, but I like the elegant, like just the ice and the way that it looks and the way she just, you know, like there's one, I think it's either
She always looks like a goddess.
Yeah. And she just like she gets you with the ice, and then she pulls a Q and she goes and then busts the ice. I love it. Like, she was always a freaking elegant badass to me. Zaxxon, which one you
I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
Ifrit being a second, but that's just because I like fire.
Mage, what about you?
I've always been a fan of Alexander.
Oh, Alexander's another one.
And I mean, you can't go wrong with any of your Bahamut's. Bahamut 0 and 7 really stands out. That's just got a really cool animation. Big non-elemental damage.
Ignores defense, right?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, in 12, Bahamut's just a flying fortress, but
is he?
Yeah, Bahamut's a flying fortress.
Well, here's the thing. In 12 they kind of didn't use any of the classic summons, I believe.
I know.
But I mean, yeah, if you kind of are using those as like their actual counterparts, then yeah, I think you're right. Actually, it's been a while since I've played 12. I haven't played 12, and I have Zodiac Age, but that's another one that I just haven't gotten to. But I do remember 12 just basically took all of the summons and just went, what if we changed everything? And then it's just like, why? Like, I don't mind them like doing what they did in 10 when it's like, you know, okay, they took Ramu out, and then they put like Ixion in there, you know, and then I think they still had a lot of the classics in there. So, but yeah, I was like, oh. So
I was a little sad at that. I was just like, oh, I wanted to summon ice
and
fire.
I think that Bahamut's the only summon to actually make an appearance in any of the movies, right?
Yeah.
What is it? Death Bahamut or Bahamut Death or whatever it was in Advent Children.
I think so.
Yeah. So,
but it's been years since I've seen the movie, so
I will defend the movies in a later date, but yeah.
Major. So Bahamut, right?
Bahamut or Alexander?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. What about you, Saban?
Are we talking about the animations or what they do? Because that's two different questions.
Wait. Oh, like the animations, like your favorite look of a summon.
Because it has to be the most recent ones. So it'd be stuff from like 13, where is it Bahamut, where he's like an old man who like grabs you from the ground and then that puts the staff down with the little lightning. I love that. That was fucking awesome. I'm pretty sure that's Bahamut. I'm sure
like a move. You said old man staff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like Ramu.
Yeah, that's Ramu. Yeah. That's Ramu.
Yeah. That was so awesome when I thought. When I did that, I was like,
I like how Ramu in 9 is kind of like a Master Roshi type, like not the perverted way, but like the like he's an old sage trying to teach Garnet how to use her powers, and like once she starts to unlock her powers in 9. I think actually Vizaxon, you
I did actually enjoy that.
did you get to that point? I'm
I
trying to think.
did.
Okay.
I did get to that point where she gets her first. I can't remember what her first summon is, but yeah, Ramu shows up and starts, telling her, it's just like you can do this. It's like you'll get better as you get more confident. It's like, oh, that's so cool.
It's a little
Yeah.
callback to 6, being in 6, Ramu's the first person to explain Magicite to you, gives you your first pieces, gets you set up on that journey of summoning and casting magic. Tons of great callbacks in 9.
6, all I remember is like, some crazy gesture like poisoning the water on the death train, and that's about it. That's
The
about
death
all
train.
Yeah.
You got to suplex a train. No matter who's playing, no matter what you're doing, you got to suplex a train. That
made me laugh. I was just like,
that
oh
is
my
the
God.
biggest meme in Final Fantasy history, is
Like-
suplexing that goddamn train.
I could suplex a train.
Actually,
Like, how do fortresses keep you out? You should be able to punch a hole through the wall.
Yeah, right?
I mean, seriously.
It's like he lifts up the wall. He's like, what?
yeah, I mean,
Dude, you just suplex a train. Why don't you just punch a hole through the fortress? I want to do it now.
see, 6 is one that needs if it needs a remake, 6 needs a remake, because
That's actually the next topic
Yes.
I was going to go into. What
Yes.
game do we want remade? And I agree. I do not think 9 needs a remake. I feel like 9
6.
is great where it's at. It's with a remaster, I feel like the graphics and like everything and the gameplay and everything has aged well. So I'm like, I kind of don't want a remake of 9. I kind of want it where it's at. It's really nice. It's really good the way it is. If they do a remake, it might just be a bit over excessive. But you are right. I agree with you, Gary, that 6 is the one that deserves another remake the most. A lot of people are championing for 8, and I said, nah, 8. Even though the graphics weren't that, even though the graphics were a huge step up from 7, in my opinion, but still, like I still feel like 6 is the one that really needs to take front and center. I don't know, Mage, what do you think about a 6 remake? Like, what do you want from it?
I would really want it to stay turn-based. Just keep to active time battle. If I want to play an action RPG, I'm not thinking Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy, in my mind, is turn-based. So that would be one of my big sticking points. I would want it to still be turn-based. Maybe only have active and not wait active time battle to keep the pacing up. Maybe even increase the battle speed from the fastest setting you have originally, and just kind of get that frantic pacing that gamers want these days, but maintain the ability to strategize, because strategy is such a core part of 4 and 6. And I just feel like in the 7 remake, it was, how good is your Twitch gameplay? Can you roll out of the way and dodge?
I do that in Horizon all the time. Vizaxon, what do you think about, which one would you want to be remade, if any?
Tough call. I am with you on 6. Maybe 5.
5 had a lot of heart to it. 5 is the unsung hero of the pre-7 era. I don't think it's better than 6. But I would definitely put 5 in a contention for being just as good as 4, in my opinion. I know that 4 has maybe a better story, but I feel like 5 has a lot more characterization, and the job system is almost perfected. Well, it is perfected in that game. So I don't know. I would agree with you on that one. 5 would be a good one. Sabin, I know you kind of started this conversation and then I kind of ran off. So what, besides 6, what do you want from a 6 remake?
probably more streamlining of characters, because I mean, I think you referenced this in our discussion last week where you said that it's about 20 different characters, well, probably over 20. And I think it could just do with more streamlining where it's probably about Edgar, Saban. I'm trying to think of the other characters off the top of my head, but those are two that
Terra, Locke, Cian.
Yeah.
Gao could be optional, I feel, but Gao was pretty Gao was kind of like Saban's pet, I think. Wasn't it Saban? Wasn't it Saban who kind of gravitated towards Gao for the most part, I think?
You encounter him during Saban's scenario.
Yeah. So I always felt that those two were kind of intermingled.
So, and also the fact is that with Saban, you should also be able to trade up his monk/wrestling ability. So so throughout it, you could maybe have him like in a gym, wrestling, I don't know, an oak tree, and then he works his way up to wrestling a tower or something, and then when he suplexes the flaming train, it's more awesome because then we've seen him do it a million times with other stuff, and then you've worked out that ability. Boom, there you go, and you can do it to other stuff, maybe in a guard he could turn up a flaming portcullis or something. That could be cool.
Yeah. No, I agree. The only issue that I have, I kind of wish that they would not update, but refine the magic system in 6. I understand why they have the magic coming from the Magicite, because obviously it's magic based in the summons, but maybe because if you go a different direction, it might seem too much like 7, with materia. So I get it that it's different, but at the same time, I don't know. I always, because with the summons, and then you got to have a certain summon equipped, and it makes you sometimes not want to use certain summons, because I feel like characters should be able to learn summons, but it's stuck on that character maybe. You know what I mean? Not everybody can learn Bahamut,
Yeah.
So if you learn Bahamut, that's stuck on that character. Now anyone can use that Magicite to learn the magic, but Bahamut would be stuck on that character.
Almost like forming a pact with that Esper.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess later in the game you could have something that's like a pact breaker or something where you could if you want to take Bahamut off of Locke and put him on Terra, you could do that late in the game, but go ahead. Go ahead, Mage.
Yeah, maybe put an item in the Coliseum.
Yeah,
that's a hard fight, takes a expensive item to bet for it, and kind of like getting a rename card from an elixir.
And also, there should be certain summons or certain magic that are unavailable to your characters because maybe the regional magic, for example, Meteor, for example, should be allowed because they've always been used by the bad characters. Kefka, Sephiroth. There's been other evil characters that have used Meteor as well. And I think that there's a destruction spells that would be used by. So I think that those should be close because you can learn those in certain skills, and I don't think that should be right because I think they should be just if you use them, your character becomes evil. I mean, it comes into a bit of a side story of does your character want to become evil and use this? It's almost like a
an
dark
side type mechanic.
Not infamous, but you're not allowed to use those magic because they could corrupt people and stuff like that, and that's how he became corrupted by using the evil magic.
I like this idea, Bossman. This is a very good idea. I really like it. But what if it
was
more
power corrupts?
Yeah, well, no, but that's the thing. It corrupts. Okay, so you have a corruption and a holy meter, whatever you want to call it. But the more corrupt you get, the stronger your black magic gets. But then the more holy magic you use, like cure and stuff like that, the more whole. I don't know what's a good word for holy,
virtuous.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Mage.
Light magic, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but so you have your characters that do the more black magic they use, the more corrupt they become, and the more I don't know. Maybe it would in a remake, maybe they would change their dialogue. Maybe if Saban uses a lot of dark magic, he'd become a little bit more aggressive in his speech, or that's why I look. I'm not a producer by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of like this idea of, if you want your person to be like more, use black magic, they'll become more corrupt, and then if they use more holy magic, they would become more virtuous. And then that you could kind of balance that little what's the word I'm looking for? Bar, I guess.
Bar meter.
Yeah, meter. I guess meter is a better word. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a very interesting idea, though. Even if that's not in 6 remake, that would be an interesting dynamic for a future Final Fantasy game.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. No. All right. You guys want to bring up any topics or anything? I mean, I'm kind of open to whatever.
The most annoying character. I mean, like Muggles can be annoying.
Yeah, I love Muggles. I don't know. What Mage? Why don't you go?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Oh,
Jeez. Equipment system. Do you guys like more gear or less gear?
I meant like, what's your most annoying character? But we can move on to.
My bad.
No, it's okay. We'll go to that next though. So,
What's annoying character? Lightning. She's just nothing. She's just there.
who?
Lightning.
Yeah, just
Actually, no. Snow. Snow's the most annoying character.
I was about to say, I would say either Snow or Vanille for me. I mean, or Selfie. Oh God, I hate Selfie.
Oh Lord, Selfie. I'd repressed Selfie and forgot about it.
But no, I agree with you on Snow. He's also really annoying. Like
He's such a douchebag.
And Vaughn too. Ugh, Vaughn.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was actually going to say for Final Fantasy 12, it's like not only is I think the story's told wrong because Ash is clearly supposed to be the main character, and they don't tell it from her perspective. They don't tell it from her perspective. It's
I think the
Vaughn and it's Vaughn and Pinello, and I'm like, Vaughn, you're an obnoxious little shit, and I want to knock you around the head. Like his only redeeming factor is the fact that he travels around with Pinello.
Yeah, Pinello's not as bad, I feel, but Vaughn is definitely not main character material. I feel like they wanted it to be Ash, and then they just kind of like they shit the bed on it, and they're just like, no, let's create this street rat because it's basically like Aladdin, like it's a street rat type character.
Aladdin done poorly.
Yes. Mate, did you have a chance to throw your least favorite out there, or is it Selfie like me? I mean, what kind of name is Selfie? I mean, come on.
Zell aggravates me. So Selfie.
Zell? What? He loves hot dogs. I mean, how do you not love Zell?
But that's all there is. He likes hot dogs and punching things.
Chicken bus.
And his accent, talking about Vaughn. Ugh.
Yeah, that's the one that really got to me. Like like the other obnoxious characters is kind of like, oh, okay, it's just like there's at least one obnoxious character in a game, and I'm like, okay, I can write them off. But I mean, Vaughn was like shoehorned in there as the main character, and he's the most obnoxious thing about that game. I'm like, no, don't make. It's like when you watch a kids movie and it's like, oh God, you're in the whole movie, aren't you? Just
yeah, it would have been. No. I felt like that game was based on Ash and Balthier. Like those two should have been the main two. Like
yes,
I would have preferred there be 5 characters, and then like Vaughn was just like not there at all. Maybe he died, but then he'd be a martyr. But I think we should, I don't know, just get rid of him. I agree.
And, like killing children, but
well, yeah, but still. Okay, Mage, what was your idea? You were talking about equipment systems.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you guys felt about more or less gear in your Final Fantasies.
Well, what do you mean by more or less? Like, are we talking like Final Fantasy 14 gear, where it's like 2 whole rows full of stuff?
No, Lord, hope no. But
or like Final Fantasy 7, where there's like 3 slots you can put stuff.
Like 3 slots versus your 5 in like Final Fantasy 4, or the 3. No, I think you've got 6 slots total after your relics in Final Fantasy 6. And I like the kind of those medium-sized gear sets. I feel like it gives you a lot of chance to customize and tweak everybody, make them feel just a little bit more unique.
All right, Gary, you got any thoughts?
I prefer less because it chooses you to maybe like change things between characters more, or sell it off, or just make to say, all right, that particular thing doesn't really work, loadout doesn't work for my character anymore. I personally prefer less because it chooses it.
Oh dear.
It went boo-doo-doo and then is so okay. Well, go ahead and keep going. I'll try to get him back in.
Okay, so I was just saying, yeah, I prefer less just because it forces you to buy your equipment more and stuff like that. Whereas you have two more, it gets too much into. It gets a bit too much. I prefer less where it forces you to work on your loadout per character.
Bizaxon, what about you? Well, no, now you're taking a drink.
Poor timing. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
You've been a waiter before, haven't you? You only come up to a table when everyone's mouth is full.
Actually, I've never been a waiter, but I mean, yeah, sure, why not for these purposes? What do you? What say you? What do you like? More equipment, less equipment, more customization, or easier customization?
Well, it's just because in general, I tend to play games where, you know, like Diablo and Dark Souls and so forth, where, you know, it's just like you have your helmet, your armor, and so on and so forth. I'm used to having at least like 6 equipment slots. So, not necessarily more gear, but definitely enough where, you know, it's just like, okay, head, shoulders, knees, toes, whatever.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Yeah, that's a good mindset for an equipment system.
Maybe a couple rings.
Couple rings, yeah.
Which is ironic because I don't wear them, but
yeah. I don't know. I'm a little torn because I kind of like.
It depends on what they're. It depends on how the game is. I mean, there's some games where it fits, and then there's others where it doesn't. I mean, you know, if you go all the way back to Final Fantasy 1, it makes sense to only have like maybe 4 equipment slots max, but as the games become more complex and you can do more with your characters and everything, it kind of makes sense to have like, you know, 6 different things that you can put on. But Final Fantasy, it just never really felt necessary to have more than like, you know, 6, weapon included.
Yeah. I mean, I play Final Fantasy 14 and that has like, I think 12 slots, I think. Like there's weapon, head, torso, legs, feet, and then there's like, or maybe there's 10 slots, and then there's like boots, 2 rings, an accessory, and I think something else. So I mean, there's like 10 slots in there. I like that, but at the same time, I want everything to kind of be more streamlined. Like I'm not huge into like customizing my stats. Like if it works better, I want it on me, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing is like, I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to be like, you know, like overcomplicated where I'm just like sitting there for 5 hours trying to figure it out. And when I play Final Fantasy 14, sometimes I do feel like I'm sitting there looking at that, but they also kind of streamline it by giving you a lot of the stat checks and stuff like that. And they let you know what the differences are going to be when you buy something. So you can already kind of so they did a good job in 14 making it. But then again, I also appreciate, you know, kind of the simplicity of 7 where it's like you got weapon, armor, accessory. Like I can get down with that, and that's okay. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I think Bossman said it. I'm kind of in the middle. I kind of want a little bit of customization, but not like a ton. Like where it's like I'm like sitting there for like 3 hours trying to figure out what the best like pair of underwear are to wear to battle.
It kind of depends. If you have it so that it's like literally just the gear and maybe just a straight upgrade for it, then, you know, it's just like, oh, you just pop this gem in and okay, all the stats that are on the gear increase by whatever margin, then, you know, it's like, okay, maybe have a lot of different like individual gear slots. But if it does the whole thing where it's like, oh, you can tweak your gear by putting all these various gems in there and so on and so forth. Sorry, I'm thinking Path of Exile here, but you know, it's like then less gear, less actual gear, and you know, it's like it just depends on which way the game went.
Yeah, yeah. We're still on the same topic, Mage. Good topic. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Does Mage have a point of view on it?
I think he started with it, but
those kinds of systems where the augmentation or too many crafting choices, I agree with Vizexen. Those are kind of overwhelming, and it just, don't really care for that. But kind of a sweet spot to my mind is 5 or 6 pieces of gear, allows customization without getting too overwhelming. But
Okay.
I've enjoyed plenty of games with just the 3 equipment slots: weapon, armor, and accessory. And
what's up, boss man?
No, I just wanted to ask a question after Mage's face, but it's all right. I'll let him finish.
I think he was. Were you finished, Mage? Were you finished?
That's about it.
Okay. Go ahead, boss man.
I was going to say, which Final Fantasy had the worst plot, had the best sort of like plot idea, but had the worst execution, and which had the worst plot idea, but had the best execution behind it. And I'm going to throw this out and say, the best plot but worst execution was probably 8, because the idea of like this woman being haunted by this evil dictator from the past and being like overcome her, and this guy who's in love with her possibly having to kill her is a great idea. I just think the execution was poor.
I would agree with you there.
I'd go out on a limb and say 10,
but it felt confusing, and kind of once you did get the reveals, it was just like that kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't developed organically over time. It was just kind of exposition dumped on you near the end.
Yeah, I would actually, for me, I would go out on a limb and say 10. Like plot wise, it just executed poorly.
I know I was standing for Final Fantasy VI earlier, but I would say that they kind of has really great plot, but dropped the ball on character development, and maybe because it had too many characters.
Yeah.
I actually feel like the core characters got plenty of characterization in 6. I agree with you. There are too many characters.
So much there that it did well, just even down to, the good guys lose at one point. Bad guys win. And how do you come back from that? I think that's great storytelling.
All right. Can you hear me, Mage?
Yeah.
Mage, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know if he can hear me.
Mage, can you hear Chase? Can you hear Cheeto?
I'm not hearing Cheeto at all for some reason. I was wondering where he went. I'm so sorry.
Can you hear me?
I can hear everybody but Cheeto.
Oh.
That might be a blessing. So you guys can hear me, but he can't. That's so weird.
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Yeah, I can hear everybody. I think it's just it might be a problem with the connection on your end, I think.
Probably is. Let me refresh my browser page. It's gone wonky since my laptop died on me and I got it plugged back in. Sorry.
All right, no problem.
That's okay. Yeah, I would definitely go for 10. I feel like 10 had great potential in plot and everything like that, but I just feel like it wasn't executed that well. I felt like 10 was just kind of like, hey, let's go here and there and everywhere, and let's, like do the run. And how do I sound? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now.
Okay. I was saying you should count it as a blessing that you can hear everybody but me, but
Oh hush.
You know how many of these people wish I did?
All right. So I'm trying to think of by plot, but well executed. I'd say maybe 50, because it's just a lead plot of this guy doesn't want to get married to this beautiful woman, but it's actually well done.
I don't think so. 9 or 15 for me was a great adventure story. Like they're driving across country and they're fighting and doing these, but I felt like once you hit the end of that road on the initial continent, it's like everything's just like a rocket train to the end, and it's just like you kind of lose that like open world structure, that kind of makes you want to explore, because once you get to that boat or whatever it is at the end of the continent, it's just like, and I mean, yeah, and then she has everyone here played 15 or care if I
Nope.
spoil it?
I'm completely lost. I don't care if you spoil it.
I mean,
It's
but
probably
then
gonna be a really long time before I have a chance to play it. So
yeah, but you go to like this island area or something like that. It's like Venice, kind of like, and then Leviathan attacks, and then she dies, and it's like, I don't know if they were trying to make it like a Aerith type scenario, but like she wasn't in your party. Yeah, I didn't give two twirly fucks about her. Like, I mean, I don't know. 15 was not.
I think 15 was a good game.
There were elements of 15 that I liked. I thought there were some things that were, the visuals were excellent.
It was probably the best Final Fantasy game that there's been since, I would say, 12, maybe.
Well, there's not been very many since 12.
No, but I know, but I'd say I'd defend 12 before I'd defend Flaming 13, 32, 32, 14, or Flaming. No, there was about 5 games before Flaming 15.
Yeah, have you played 14?
Yeah, it was shit.
Did you play it when it first launched?
Yeah.
Well, then you need to play it again. A Realm Reborn is amazing. They totally shut the game down and redid it, and then they brought it back out in 2013. Final Fantasy 14: A Realm Reborn is it's won game awards and stuff like that. And I mean, I play it to this day. Like it's a really good, in my opinion, it's a really good game. So,
its plot feels more like a Final Fantasy than 15 for sure.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I didn't mind 15 for what it was. Now, should 15 have been an offshoot game?
Yes,
maybe it should have been. Yeah, because it didn't feel like a mainline Final Fantasy game to me.
No, it plays more like Kingdom Hearts than a Final Fantasy game.
But as much as people complain about driving in the car, I would drive across that frickin' country listening to the radio and stuff on the car. Like I would. I'm not gonna lie. I would drive cross country and listen to all the music while we're just riding and just look around. I'm a weirdo gamer like that, where I'm just like, I don't have to be fighting stuff 24/7 in order to enjoy a game.
What do you think I'm doing? I'm playing Elden Ring, and what do you think I'm doing most of the time? I'm just like, riding my horse across the country. I'm just like, oh man, this looks so cool. Well, there's something that wants to eat my face. I better run the other way.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, we're gonna start wrapping up here. We've got about 8 more minutes. Any other topics you guys want to bring up? Anything you guys want to chit chat about for a little bit?
Best side quest in a Final Fantasy game.
What do you want to start with?
Oh, that got a lot of ooze.
The fishing in 15.
Huh?
The fishing in 15.
I actually do like fishing modules in games.
Fishing in Breath of Fire 3 was more fun. I mean, come on.
No.
Yeah.
All right. The chocobo racing.
I like the fishing in Breath of Fire 4.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
I like that too.
you tap in rhythm to the music, and it actually like catches you a fish.
The chocobo racing. The chocobo racing is great.
I mean, yeah, it's fun. Did I cheat constantly on chocobo racing in 7? Yes. Yes.
What is it? Is it L2, R2? You hold it, or is it L, or is it 1?
It's the triggers, the L1, the L2, and R2.
Yeah, you just hold those down and you just hit run and you just go.
Whoosh, gold chocobo, here I come.
For me, it's actually the side quest, the monster hunting quest in 12.
Oh, that's
like the monster hunting bounty hunt. I love it, and they get so elaborate as you go on. Like there's one that only appears when it's like raining really heavy on the on the flats, and I love that one. Yeah.
Mage?
So that...
Oh.
I asked a hard one. I'm sorry. I asked a hard one. I'm sorry.
I got mine. I'll go first while you think.
Please. Go first. Cheeto.
Chocobo Hot Cold. I love that game so much. I could play Chocobo Hot and Cold from 9 for eons. Like the Chocobo is like my own personal like item sense. Like what is it? The metallic radars or whatever they people have on the beach.
Metal detectors, yeah.
Yeah, metal detectors. Like Chocobo is like an item detector. I love it.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. That's a close second for me.
But you're right. 12's monster hunting is a lot of fun.
It takes you across the world.
Yeah, it gets a little ridiculous towards the end. I will admit that. But like, still, it's still really like you're right. It's really in depth and really like not customizable, elaborate, like you said.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's really cool. Got one for us, Mage?
Obtaining the Great Gospel Limit Break in 7. That is so elaborate.
But that's for Aerith, right?
That's for Aerith. It gets her a level 4 limit break for you to use for all of 4 hours.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, I that's really your favorite side quest? Wow. I mean, okay.
I like that it has elements of exploration. You've got to master aspects of the combat by making sure you use the first limit breaks of each level, the amount of times prerequisite, then get in the amount of kills with her for prerequisite. I was having trouble thinking of one and narrowing it down. That's the one that keeps popping into my head.
Okay. I mean,
that's the right one for you. So
I'm not gonna yuck your yum. I'm just saying, like, wow, that's kind of an oddball one. I just never thought of that one. I don't even think I've ever had it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the biggest fan of Aerith. I'm a Tifa. Tifa X Cloud all the way.
So
or Tifa Heart Cloud all the way.
I don't. Aerith is boring. I prefer someone like Tifa. She looks like she's a firecracker.
Who?
I said that Tifa looks like a firecracker.
Well, you can't knock Tifa for her genetics, man. I mean, come on.
I'm saying that I prefer her over Aerith.
Oh, okay. I thought you were knocking her. I'm like, no, like I mean, but yeah, I don't like Aerith is okay, and I like her more in the remake actually, as a character. But still, I've always seen it as Aerith is actually Zack's girl, in the long run. And then even though you got your teen drama in the game, but like Aerith and Zack are meant to be, and Tifa and Cloud are meant to be. That's why I always go for the Tifa date in 7. It's always Tifa.
You mean you don't go for the Barrett date every time?
Oh, I've never done it, but I know about it. I wish one day I could. Isn't there a Yuffie date too?
There is a Yuffie date.
I've seen the Barrett date done before online. I've heard of the Yuffie date. I've never done either of those, but I've done Aerith. I think I did Aerith in my first run of the game. But then ever since then, when I found out that you could actually get somebody else to come, I was always like, well, who's the other one? Tifa. I said, hands down, Tifa. I'm going to be an asshole to Aerith at this point. Come on.
I mean, Cloud and Tifa have better chemistry on the date anyways.
Yeah. Absolutely. Aerith's okay. She's a means to an end. Like,
and plus you could tell that Tifa would be much. No, I'm not even going to go there. But
all right, we're gonna go out on one last question.
Yep.
And I don't even know what the answer for me would be. Most memorable moment in Final Fantasy, like the first time you saw it, you were like, "Holy shit!" Anyone can go first because I'm actually still trying to figure out mine.
Suplex in the train.
It's the meme.
I'm sorry. It's just how do you beat that? It's just like, what the hell? Because the first time I saw it, I think I was about 12. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then all of a sudden you just see this, like these people running, and all of a sudden you see this guy just like turn around, get up, suplex this train. I was like, what? And he just goes, and it's like, what is it? He goes, suplex. I was like, no. So I was into wrestling at the time. Well, that's why I was just like, no, that's so awesome.
I got mine if nobody else has theirs.
I think I have mine. I just can't remember which game it's in.
We'll go and describe it. We'll tell you.
The Death of Hydra. the dragon, the water dragon.
I mean, that might have been in the first game. I mean,
I think it's actually in 5. It's the one where like all the elements die out, so like there's no wind blowing, but there's one pirate that has a ship that can still move, and it turns out that it's being pulled by a water dragon named Hydra.
oh,
Hydra dies, and that's the one that actually hit me.
mine is going to be the Sector 7 plate falling in 7. That was a bit like, as I said, 7 was my first Final Fantasy. That was probably one of the moments when I was like, holy shit, they just killed a whole like pizza slice of people, like just to get to these couple people. Like, I feel like, and there's a lot of 9 moments that I could cite, but I'd be lying, because it's like, the first time I remember, like, in the most memorable moment is like watching that Sector 7 fall. Sector 7 fall, and I was like, holy shit, what just happened? Like, did they actually just do that? So, I don't know, Mage, you got one for us yet?
It's a toss-up between the intro of 4 and the intro of 7. The Red Wings over Baron is really iconic, great music, fun introduction to a character. We get to see Cecil's conflict within himself and his heart about his allegiance to his king versus knowing what the right thing is and doing what the right thing is. But then there's just that graphical wow factor of the panning over Midgar in 7, and the way the camera just comes down and you go to the train station there at the reactor, and Cloud hops off and everybody else hops off, and you're in it, you're going. And
Very iconic. You are correct.
I mean, I was 13 probably at the time, and it blew my mind.
Okay. Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining me for the first of hopefully much more Final Fantasy content on this channel. We are Nerdtube. We are the greatest YouTube channel. You've maybe kind of sort of heard of at this point. If you haven't already, please consider giving us a like, leaving your comment on your favorite, anything we've discussed here. Leave your Final Fantasy moments, systems, hates, loves, anything. We won't yuck your yum, I promise. And if you've liked anything, or if you like some other of our content, please consider subscribing. We're a growing channel, and we love our content. We do this because we have fun. Besides Gary, he just likes to yell at me or something. I don't know.
I don't like you.
I know. I just love how we always go back and forth on things. It's always so much fun. Anyway, with that all being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining me in this podcast. And I will catch you guys and all you out there in the next one. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.